Death is a part of life. We hear this truth when someone dies or is near death, but death is a common experience among the living. It feels like something is dying within us when a very specific but powerful thing is missing from our life. This life-giving thing can hide from us, but it's accessible to everyone. What is this life-giving thing? And what allows this thing to bring so much life? What makes it so accessible? You do. Confused? There are creatures that can help us understand, and they're close by. Those of you who are native to the Pacific Northwest are very familiar with this tree. It's the Douglas fir. This baby fir tree is thriving, but how? You may notice that this baby tree is in the shade, and if you remember all the way back to middle school science, when you learned about photosynthesis, you can remember that plants need sunlight in order to create their own food. So how is this baby fir tree thriving? This question reveals one of the coolest things one can know about trees. Trees are not actually independent creatures. They rely on one another. Trees are connected through root systems and a unique fungi called mycorrhizae. They will team up with this fungi to link them to other trees in exchange for some sugar. Trees then send nutrients to one another through these networks. So even though this tree can't make his own food, the trees around him are sending him the food he needs. But sending nutrients to grow is not the only way trees interact with one another. When a tree is under an attack from vicious predators, like, for example, bark beetles, the tree will send other trees defense enzymes to help defend themselves. And if the tree senses that it's close to death, even though the tree needs whatever resource it has at its disposal, the last action of a dying tree will be to send sugar, water, and other valuable resources to trees around them, to trees within their network. So what is this thing that trees are a part of that allows them to flourish, to be so full of life? Love. And when I say love, I'm talking about treasuring others. You may be saying to yourself, whoa, hold on a second. Trees aren't actually loving each other. Trees don't have brains. They don't know what they're doing. Okay, fair enough. But treasuring someone on a mental and emotional level is not all that it means to love someone. Loving or treasuring someone or something else also manifests itself practically. It's an action. Trees seem to have this part down pretty well. After all, no one on Earth loves perfectly. So the thing that is allowing trees to flourish is, in fact, love. Without it, the tree's green needles would turn to brown. Their roots would be uprooted. They would not flourish, and eventually they would perish. Like trees, love is what brings life to us. And when I say love, I mean not only receiving love, but giving love as well. Consider the tree that in its last moments used its last bit of energy, giving the other trees its resources, despite its detriment. It's almost like this tree needed to do this. In the same way, humans not only need love, but they have a need to give it as well. Without love, without treasuring and being treasured, our physical needs would not be met. Our emotional needs would not be met. A life void of love would be a life that does not exist. Life simply can't happen without love. So love is what breathes life into all living things. But how is it that you are what allows it to be so life-giving? We're getting there. Unique elements have shaped you into the unique person that you are. One of these things is your genetic code. Your genetic code is found within your DNA that your body can read like an instruction manual that create the most basic building blocks like amino acids and proteins that give you the unique body that you have. If you were to write out the difference between your genetic code and someone else's in a book that's 8 inches by 11 inches and has 12-point font, the book would have to be stacked 20 feet tall. But this isn't all. Everyone has a unique story. You have had very unique things happen to you. You have made very unique choices in your life. You've had very unique people that have participated in your life in a very unique way. You have grown up at a unique time and a unique place. Your story is unique. Your unique genetic code and story has shaped how you are currently experiencing and relating with the world. In other words, it has shaped who you are. It shapes how you think, what you think. It shapes how you feel and when you feel it. It shapes your strengths and your weaknesses. Things like your interests, your disinterests, your abilities, your disabilities, your positive and negative triggers, your sexuality, your sense of humor. All of these things have been shaped by your unique genetic code and story. And because no one has the same genetic code or story, each and every one of these parts that make you who you are unique. Here's why I bring all this up. Your love is unique. No one on earth can love someone or something in the same way that you can. And that makes your love very valuable for the rest of the world. There are multiple parts of loving or treasuring someone else. One part is seeing and experiencing the different parts of what makes someone who they are and appreciating the aspects that you experience as good. Another part of treasuring others is seeing and experiencing the parts of others that you experience as not so good, but giving these parts of them grace. Another part of loving or treasuring someone is zooming out and looking at all of the parts you experience as good, not so good, and seeing them from afar and seeing the person as beautiful and valuable as a whole. Everyone is capable of these parts of love. We may be unwilling, but we are capable. Another part of loving or treasuring others is nurturing the various parts that make someone who they are. This part of loving someone is not so universal. It's universal in the sense that everyone is able to nurture others in their own way, but it's not universal in the way that, thanks to the unique parts that make you who you are, the different parts of you unlock the ability to access different parts of others and to nurture them in a unique way. For an example, it is one thing to acknowledge someone's art as beautiful, but it is another thing to have been shaped into an artist yourself and to be able to see someone else's work and to know all of the work that went into it, acknowledge it to their face, and maybe even collaborate with them on a piece of art. It is one thing receiving a genuine hug from an acquaintance, and another thing receiving a genuine hug from your best friend. It's one thing having someone there for you, lending you both of their ears to listen, and words of encouragement, who have not gone through what you are going through. And it's something else having someone there for you who understands your trauma. It's one thing having someone tell you that they love you, and they do not see a beautiful part of you as beautiful. And it's another thing hearing those words from someone who sees the beauty in that important and large part of you. You, like that person in the latter part of these examples, are capable of using your unique parts of yourself to nurture, to love the unique parts of people in unique and powerful ways, in life-giving ways. So what allows love to be so life-giving? You do. Love is not experienced as an immaterial force, Love is experienced through flesh and blood, through unique physical beings with unique stories. But maybe you don't feel like you can love others, even if you wanted to. Maybe you're tired. Your body is walking, but it feels lifeless. Love seems to be missing from your life. Be encouraged. Love is accessible, and it is not just accessible because there are billions of other living things that not only have a need to be loved, but also to love. Love is also accessible because of you. Love fuels love. At some point in your life, you being the unique person that you are, loved someone in a very unique way. That person then took the love that you gave them and used it as fuel to love someone else. And on it went. You, like others, are the reason why love is able to be so abundant. Without you, there would be people in your community that would have love, but would not have the fuel to relinquish it. Feeling lifeless also surprisingly doesn't always mean that your life is void of love. It could actually mean that you are in the thick of it. Part of treasuring someone includes giving up oneself for the good of the other. Love is saturated with self-sacrifice. But is it worth it? Yeah. There's an old saying that says, whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life will save it. When we give up our lives for others, strangely enough, we're able to find life. When we sacrifice tremendously for others, for some reason we become most alive. So how does your love allow love to be so accessible to you and others? Well, sometimes your love accomplishes this just by sticking around, by not abandoning the other when it gets hard. Doing so allows your unique life-giving love to be accessible to the other, and it allows you to wait it out and experience their life-giving love in due time. So yeah, death is a part of life. But sometimes we do go through seasons of life where our experience of love is lacking. Our beautiful parts of who we are not being treasured, not being nurtured. And in these cases, expand your network. Don't abandon, expand. Then plant your feet. Let your roots grow deep and wide. Absorb the life-giving love that others want and need to give you. And for the sake of others, breathe your life-giving love into those around you. Your love is the greatest gift that you can give the world. Your love is powerful. It is significant. Your love matters. You matter. Don't forget it. Your life matters because your love matters.